What up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Matt Wyatt. So, last night I went out to go see the new MCU film called The Marvels, which is a movie that I was not looking forward to. I was not very hyped with it. The trailers didn't do anything for me, and lately the MCU has not been doing well with quality. With a few exceptions, with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Shang-Chi, which those three movies were bangers. But most of the MCU films from Phase 4 and 5 have been very mediocre, and especially the Disney Plus shows have been very mediocre. There were only a few exceptions that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed Werewolf by Night, the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, and the shows like Moon Knight and Loki. They were really good. And WandaVision. I'm not a big fan of the first Captain Marvel movie, but I love Brie Larson. I think she's great. My biggest issue with the Captain Marvel character is that I wasn't a big fan of how they were treating her in the MCU. She felt so underdeveloped, especially how they've handled her in Endgame. Sure, she had a couple of cool scenes, but most of the time she's not in it much. And I was worried of how they were going to handle her in her own sequel, and I was hoping for the best that they can do a better job of writing her character. I want her to have more growth. I want her to have more weight. And then when we find out that there's going to be two characters that are going to be one of the three main leads of the film, you got the actress Teyonah Parris that played Monica Rambeau, which is the same character that played the daughter of um of Maria Rambeau. That's supposed to be Carol Danvers' best friend in the first movie. She's playing the older version of Monica Rambeau, which she's coming off of the heels of WandaVision. And then you got Iman Vellani, who is playing Kamala Khan, who's coming off of the heels of her own solo show on Disney Plus called Miss Marvel, which I really liked. Miss Marvel. I loved Mon Vellani as Miss Marvel. I was never familiar with the character because I never read the comics. I knew she was an established character from the comic books. I knew her powers, that she had the ability to, like, a stretch and elasticity, that similar ability that Mr. Fantastic had in the Fantastic Four. And when I saw her in the video game from the Avengers, I thought she was great. I loved Kamala Khan in the Avengers game. The game wasn't all that great, but she was. And I loved how they've handled her in the live action. Even though I'm not a big fan of how they altered her powers, that made her more cosmic, that she had the ability to see light in the physical matter, and her bracelet helps enhance that ability. And by the time you went to that mid-credit scene in Miss Marvel, her DNA is mutation, which I did not like that. I know they're trying to so hard to incorporate the X-Men in the MCU. For me personally, it was not the way to do that, but whatever. It is what it is. I'll give that a pass. So this film is supposed to be about Carol Danvers, and her powers are entangled with these two characters, with Kamala Khan and Monica Rambeau. They're all entangled, and every time they use their ability, they're forced to switch places. So now they have to work together and help save the universe, and that's the main plot of the movie. So after coming out of this film, I'm going to say that I liked it. I wasn't too crazy about it. It was fine. I don't think it was another top tier MCU movie. The story itself was not that great. The script itself was all over the place and it was very messy. But the one thing that really saved the movie was the three main leads. And the one character that stole the spotlight was Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan. I loved her in this movie. I thought she was fantastic. Her character, she is a big Captain Marvel fan. She's a fangirl. She's always wanted to become like her. She was her idol. And for her to meet up for the first time, you could tell how happy and how excited she was to team up with her and go off on the adventure. It makes sense. It's real and authentic because if we were in her shoes, we would have done the same thing if we met our own idol and we had a chance to work together for the first time. I would be jumping up and down and going nuts and going crazy. I would be high as a kite. And the three of them working together, I thought it was great. I thought the chemistry with the three of them together was absolutely fantastic. And in case you don't know who directed the film, it's directed by Nia DaCosta, who directed the 2020s Candyman, which is supposed to be a follow-up to the original Candyman film. I didn't love that film. I thought it was okay, but it wasn't too crazy about it. And Teyonah Parris, who plays Monica Rambeau, was in that film with her, and she's re-teaming with her again in the film. And I thought Brie Larson was a better established character in this film than she did in her own solo movie. I thought it looked like she had a lot of fun. But for me personally, the main villain was terrible. She was a poorly written character, a generic character that we've seen a million times before. Sure, they explored of her motivation and why she has a grudge against Carol Danvers, But other than that, she felt like an afterthought. And when we see the three of them teaming up and fighting her character, Dar-Ben, it just didn't have any enough weight. There was not enough buildup because throughout the whole film, we spending a lot of time with this whole exposition of the three of them hanging out together, going this one pointless side mission. You start to forget the character. She felt like she was in the background. And you don't care. It didn't have enough weight. The stakes were not very believable, and the tone itself was all over the place. There are moments where it tries to be funny, and there are moments where it tries to add parody, and there are moments where it tries to be serious, but it just did not mesh well together for me. It felt very messy, and the film itself didn't really know what it wanted. And one of the things that I really liked was Kamala Khan's family. I loved them in the Miss Marvel show. It was great to see them again in the film together. But the one thing that really bothered me is that they didn't really serve a narrative purpose. They didn't need to be in the whole film. They could have been just left out and it wouldn't have changed any of the outcome. And I was not a big fan of how they handled the Nick Fury character played by Sam Jackson. I mean, I liked him in Secret Invasion, even though the show itself wasn't all that good. It was a big disappointment. But I was not a big fan of how they've handled him. They made him out to be a punchline. They didn't give him a lot to do. Most of the time, Sam Jackson was just improvising throughout the whole movie, and he was just throwing out jokes and one-liners, and that's about it. And from what I've heard, that this is supposed to be taking place before Secret Invasion, because this movie is supposed to come out before Secret Invasion. So yeah, it makes sense, but other than that, he was just a pointless character to be in the movie. I wish they could have handled him better and given him more to do and give him more weight. Overall, this film just felt like it was just all over the place and the film didn't really know what it wanted. I'm not going to say it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I thought it was better than Love and Thunder and Quantum Mania, but it's not saying much because those movies sucked. And one thing, and this is not spoiling anything, you saw that in the third final trailer that we see Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie showing up in the movie. For me, it was just a pointless cameo. She didn't need to be in the movie. That was just a marketing tool to get people into the theater. And also, the third final trailer, for those of you who have already seen it, it was a complete false advertising. It was just another culmination memorabilia. It was not going to represent for what the film was. The first two trailers, that's the film that you're expecting going into it. They kind of lied to you and misled you into believing that the Dar-Ben, the main villain, was linked to Thanos and she was trying to follow his work. But apparently, no, she had nothing to do with Thanos. They completely misdirect you. That's just giving the fans the middle finger and sucker you in to go see this movie. But I say avoid that third trailer because it's not going to mean a damn thing. But I will say, the mid-credit scene, and there's only a post-credit scene. There's only one. There's no two, so you don't have to sit through all the way through the credits. You can easily get up out of your chair after that mid-credit scene, but I will say that mid-credit scene was great. I loved it. It's not a big game changer for the MCU that every fan is making it out to be, but it was a fun, good cameo that I got a kick out of it, and I think you should stay through that. But for those of you have not seen it yet, I think you should see it because most of you might like it more than I do. I went to go see it with my brother last night and he loved it. Surprisingly, I didn't expect that reaction. And I was in the theater with a bunch of crowd and they were having a blast. They had a great time watching it. Right now, this film is like sitting at 60% on Rotten Tomatoes for the critics. So 60% of them liked it, but the audiences really liked it more than critics because it's sitting at 85%. Just because I don't like this movie as much doesn't mean that you're not going to like it. You might like it more than I do. You might have a blast. The one thing that they did get right is that they added the fun and adventure ride with the three of them. And that's the only thing that really truly carried the movie. So what did you think of this movie, The Marvels? For those of you who have already seen it, did you love it more than I did? Or are you with me and you did not love it and you were very disappointed? For me, I just felt like it was another misstep. I feel like Marvel needs to get their act together to put out good quality because right now this is not it. This is another MCU film that was a big misfire. Like I said, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. There's some redeemable qualities in the film, but I just wish they had a better script. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the like button into my video, and subscribe to my channel for more videos to come. I appreciate your support. I hope you guys have a great weekend, great day, evening, wherever you're from. I hope you guys stay safe and take care.